Today marks my 65th birthday. My name is Amelia, and though I'm already in my 60s, I've managed to lead a healthy life since finishing junior high. After graduating, I dedicated my time to working and raising my children. Time flew by, and before I realized it, I reached this age. The sudden loss of my beloved husband 5 years ago was a tough blow, but with support from friends and family, I've been making it through these past few years. Recently, I'm doing a bit of work, taking over some responsibilities my husband left behind. Despite a few minor challenges, I find the work fulfilling and I'm quite content with it. However, something else has been weighing on my mind. Just this morning, as I was reflecting on these thoughts, the doorbell rang. It was a delivery, a beautifully sealed envelope accompanied by a stunning floral arrangement. The card read, "Happy Birthday," and to my surprise, it was from my second son, Jaden. I had never received such a gesture from him when he was single. His wife, Lillian, who he married last year, must have arranged it. Lillian is strong-willed and thoughtful, living about an hour's drive away. They visit occasionally, showing their care and even inviting me on trips. I called Lillian to express my gratitude, and her cheerful voice warmed my heart as she wished me well and looked forward to our next meeting. She's truly more than Jaden deserves. However, the other letter I received posed a different scenario. It was from Owen, my eldest son. His actions and those of his wife have often been a source of strain. Just yesterday, his wife made some hurtful comments, suggesting that my presence was somehow embarrassing due to my modest living on a pension. Her words sparked a surge of anger in me, bringing years of pent-up frustration to the surface. In that moment, I was ready to confront her, but before I could, my second son's wife, pale and concerned, intervened. The irony of it all is that while Owen's wife had often looked down on me, fate had a way of turning the tables, as she eventually found herself in a challenging situation herself. This ongoing family dynamic has been tough, but moments like receiving flowers from Jaden and Lillian remind me of the kindness still present in my life. The sunlight dappled through the trees, creating a serene atmosphere that matched the elegance of my kimono. It was a perfect setting for a celebration, and I felt a mix of nervousness and excitement about the gathering. As I opened the birthday card earlier, I was surprised to see it was from Owen, my eldest son. Knowing him, I doubted he would have done this on his own. It must have been his wife, Bella's doing. Bella, who prides herself on her high education and elite job at a prominent corporation, has always been a challenge for me. With her assertive personality and elitist views, she often looks down on those she perceives as less educated or successful, including me. Despite only having a junior high education and working different jobs throughout my life, I felt her disdain deeply. Over time, Bella's arrogance only grew. She would drop by unannounced, demanding meals and occasionally asking for money behind Owen's back, even though they were financially stable thanks to Owen's management role at a restaurant chain. Despite this, my love for Owen, who shares traits with his gentle and somewhat delicate father, made me tolerate her behavior. However, it didn't make the hurt any less real. When Bella called to acknowledge she sent the card, her tone was brisk, rushed by her busy work schedule. "I'm glad you got it," she said quickly, before reminding me about a dinner party with relatives and instructing me to dress decently so I wouldn't embarrass her. Her words stung, but I held on to my gratitude for the gesture of the card. The dinner party was in honor of my niece, who was like a daughter to me. She was getting married and, opting out of a traditional wedding, chose a dinner to introduce her fiancé to the family. Owen, Bella, Jaden, and Lillian were all invited. As we arrived, I was accompanied by Jaden and his wife Lillian, who always brought warmth and support. The courtyard where the event was held was breathtaking. "It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" Lillian remarked, complimenting my kimono. "You look wonderful, it suits you perfectly." Their kind words uplifted me, contrasting sharply with Bella's earlier comments. As we mingled with the guests, I felt a sense of belonging and love from my family, despite the complexities of my relationship with Bella. The evening was about celebration, family, and new beginnings, and I was determined to focus on these positive elements, cherishing the support from those who truly cared. As we approached the elegant restaurant for my niece's dinner party, I expressed a playful regret to Jaden and his wife Lillian. "I wish I had worn a kimono too, it's such a lovely and luxurious place," I mused. Lillian chuckled, "Oh, Come on, I can't buy you an expensive kimono just for tonight. Her light-hearted tone made us all smile. While we shared this light conversation, Owen and his wife Bella arrived, noticeably late. As they approached, Bella glanced at me and commented loudly enough for Owen to hear, "Wow, you actually dressed appropriately." Owen, looking embarrassed, tried to shush her, but she brushed him off. Deciding to avoid the brewing tension, I announced it was time to head inside. The restaurant was buzzing with about 35 relatives who warmly greeted me, making me feel cherished. From a distance, I overheard Bella whisper, presumably to a relative, "She is very well liked, isn't she? Is it out of pity?" I chose to ignore the comment and took my seat. The dinner began with a toast, celebrating my niece's new journey. Contrary to my expectations of a rural eatery, the restaurant offered an impressive menu and a fine selection of sake, recently featured in a notable Tokyo magazine. Bella, seemingly enjoying her meal and the sake, complimented the selection enthusiastically. As the evening unfolded, the mood was joyous, focused on celebrating my niece's marriage. Her partner, who had graduated from K University and worked at investment banking, was introduced to everyone. During one conversation, a relative praised him, and he humbly acknowledged his parents' support in his education. Bella, never one to miss an opportunity to tout her credentials, interjected, "I graduated from W University and I'm a chief compliance officer at a big company." No one had asked, and her bragging felt out of place. Owen attempted to intervene as Bella continued, "In this day and age, your academic background is crucial, isn't it?" But my niece's partner countered calmly, "I don't think so. There are many respectable people regardless of their academic background." Undeterred, Bella pressed on, asserting that those with education like hers had a higher understanding, implying those without were inferior. Her comments caused a stir, and my niece's partner, taken aback by her bluntness, replied, "You've probably had too much to drink." Owen, Lillian, and even other relatives tried to calm the situation, looking at Bella with disbelief. The festive atmosphere had been tainted by her words, but the family's effort to steer the conversation back to a celebratory tone helped soothe the tension. As the evening continued, I focused on the love and support around me, grateful for the family members who valued kindness and respect over credentials. As the family gathered for the dinner, Bella's comments grew increasingly uncomfortable. Addressing me directly, she said, "Without an education, you're stuck at a bad company and can't make good money. You know what I mean, don't you, Amelia?" Predicting the direction of her rant, I responded calmly but firmly, "I think you've had enough to drink, Bella. Maybe you should step outside for some fresh air." This seemed to strike a nerve. Bella's voice rose as she retorted, "What's the matter with you? Are you asking me to leave just because I'm a college graduate and you only finished middle school? I don't understand." Owen tried to intervene, but I met his gaze, signaling him to let me handle it. It felt necessary to address the issue head-on. "Bella, if you have something to say, just say it," I encouraged her. She scoffed disdainfully, then declared loudly, "If I were you, I'd be too embarrassed to even show my face among the relatives. You're just a middle school graduate with no qualifications." The room fell silent. All eyes were on us, including those of my niece and her newlywed partner. Bella continued, her voice dripping with condescendence, "Since your husband passed, you've barely worked. You're unemployed at 65, nowhere near retirement age like at my company where people work hard. You didn't even go to high school or gain any decent qualifications. Isn't that just pathetic? I certainly wouldn't want to end up like you, an aunt who can't compete because I work at a big company." Even the staff paused in their duties, caught off guard by her harsh words. Then, with everyone listening, she delivered her cruelest comment yet, "A middle school graduate like you doesn't belong here. It's embarrassing. You're just a poor person living on a pension. I don't want anything to do with you, so why don't you just leave?" Her words triggered a deep anger in me, an accumulation of years of tolerated disrespect pushing me to the brink. I felt my face flush with the effort to restrain my emotions. But before I could respond, Lillian, who looked quite distressed, interjected softly yet urgently, "Bella, please, don't tell me you don't know." "What? What don't I know?" Bella snapped, her eyes flicking between Lillian and the surrounding family, who now displayed a mix of anger, disappointment, and disdain. Owen looked utterly deflated, his gaze downturned, reflecting his embarrassment and perhaps realization of the situation he had tolerated for too long. The air was thick with tension, but Lillian's intervention had shifted the focus, hinting at deeper layers of unspoken truths that Bella might not have been aware of, prompting a moment of critical reflection amidst the family chaos. What? What the hell? Bella exclaimed in confusion. Lillian, her voice trembling with emotion, then dropped a bombshell. Amelia actually owns this restaurant. Remember? The room fell silent, and Bella, unable to grasp the revelation, laughed dismissively. Don't make me laugh. What are you talking about? She snickered, skepticism written all over her face. But before the conversation could spiral further, the chef and other employees quickly gathered around me. Boss, are you okay? One of them asked, their concern evident. Another staff member, clearly upset, addressed Bella. She is a wonderful person. Do you have any idea how much she has helped us all? Bella turned to Owen, her face a mask of confusion and irritation. Owen, what's this all about? Owen sighed, a look of resignation on his face. It's true, Bella. Everything they're saying is true. Dad and Mom started this restaurant, and after Dad passed, Mom took over. She wasn't in a position to run it alone, so she lends her name to others to help manage it. Yes, she is the owner. Bella's disbelief turned to shock. Why didn't you tell me this before? If I told you, you'd just start scheming about how to take over the restaurant or the property, Owen replied, his voice tinged with frustration. I wanted to give Mom some peace, especially after she was so depressed following Dad's death. Besides, as soon as you knew about her educational background, you dismissed her. Jaden, overhearing the conversation, chimed in, Bella, my mother might live simply and cherish the house full of memories of my father, but she also owns a condominium in front of the station and other properties. Honestly, she probably earns much more than you do. Bella's face contorted with confusion and anger, but before she could retort, a quiet, calm voice cut through the escalating tension. Standing there was a man, not much older than myself, dressed in an elegant suit. What's the matter with you, Bella? Why don't you stop? He said calmly. Bella, taken aback, looked at the man and scoffed. Who are you to talk to me like that? Her face drained of color as she recognized him. Do you know who I am? He asked, and then added with a slight smirk, no way. Chief Operating Officer? This man was a cousin of my late husband and, as it turned out, the managing director of the company where Bella worked. I've heard quite a bit about how you treat other employees, often judging them by their educational background, he continued, his voice stern. This has caused significant issues in projects and morale at the company. Bella looked like she was about to faint as the chief operating officer continued, given how you treat your own relative so poorly, I will need to reevaluate your role in the company. Expect a thorough review of your actions. Panic washed over Bella's face as she stammered, please, don't do this. But before she could plead further, Owen gently took her by the arm, signaling that it was time to leave the conversation. The room remained heavy with the impact of the revelations, and as they walked away, the collective mood shifted from tension to a somber realization of the truth laid bare. Owen gently placed his hand on Bella's shoulder and stopped her. That's enough, Bella. If you had just been upfront with me from the start, none of this would have happened. You need to sort this out, he said calmly but firmly. In a burst of frustration, Bella lashed out at Owen, her face bright red with anger. Let's get a divorce. You're always like this, ruining important events and causing trouble at work. I can't stay with you anymore, especially after how you spoke to my mother who sacrificed so much to raise us. Owen's voice was steady, devoid of emotion, signaling his final decision. As the reality of his words sank in, I couldn't help but cry, overwhelmed by the unfolding events. Jaden held me by the shoulders, and Lillian pulled me close, offering comfort. What the hell? Everyone is siding with this middle-aged woman. I won't be divorced and demoted. Don't be ridiculous, Bella protested, but her words were hollow. The chief operating officer spoke up, his tone soft yet firm. Bella, you can't stay here any longer. It's time for you to leave. This is an important place for us, and my aunt is a valued member of this family. We can't let you ruin this. My niece, having watched the entire ordeal, spoke to Bella with resolve. "Please, just leave us alone. This is ridiculous and impossible to justify." Stunned and at a loss, Bella exited the room, accompanied by an employee. Owen turned to the rest of us, his expression one of apology. "Everyone, I'm really sorry about my wife," he said, bowing slightly. My niece comforted me, rubbing my arm gently. "Don't worry about it, Aunt Amelia. We all love you. And soon, that woman will no longer be your daughter-in-law." "Yes, don't worry, Amelia," Lillian added softly. "I respect you so much." Owen, looking relieved, confessed his next steps to me. "I'll be happy if I can get the divorce." "I'm really sorry, Mom. From now on, I'll make it up to you." The dinner eventually resumed, and despite the earlier disruption, we managed to conclude the evening without further incident. A few months later, Owen and Bella officially divorced. Bella tried to claim alimony in family court, but her appeal was unsuccessful. The managing director later informed us that an internal investigation at Bella's company had revealed her problematic behavior, which led to her being transferred to a less prominent branch office, a clear demotion. Unexpectedly, Owen later approached me with a proposal. He wanted to take over the restaurant. I had never pressured my children to continue the family business, preferring that they follow their own passions. However, I couldn't deny a slight sadness at the thought of handing over my late husband's legacy to someone outside the family. "Mom, this restaurant is filled with Dad's love and passion, and I feel it too," Owen told me earnestly. "I've always wanted to take it over, but I was afraid I couldn't handle it." Hearing his sincere desire to preserve and nurture the restaurant brought a profound sense of relief and pride. It was clear that the love for the family business ran deep, and with Owen's renewed commitment, the legacy would surely continue to thrive. I had been working for a restaurant chain, but when I saw how deeply you were respected and loved by your employees, I realized I wanted to help preserve the restaurant that you and Dad built together, Owen explained to me one day. His words filled me with gratitude. "Thank you, Owen, that means a lot. But remember, there's much for you to learn and master before you're ready to take over," I told him. "I'll guide you and teach you everything I know, so give it your best shot." Owen joined me at the restaurant, eager to dive into the nuances of the business. It was a busy and fulfilling time as I trained him, passing on the skills and knowledge that had been imparted to me. 1 year later, on my 66th RD birthday, as Owen and I were waiting outside our house, Jaden's car pulled up. "Amelia, happy birthday," Lillian called out as she stepped from the car, her voice brimming with happiness. Jaden carefully lifted a baby from the car seat and cradled him in his arms. "Now, it's the two of us," he said with a gentle smile. Their arrival was a joyous moment. Not only was it my birthday, but I was also celebrating becoming a grandmother. The sight of my grandchild brought a new kind of joy to my life. It felt like a perfect circle of life and love expanding with each passing moment. Now that I've become a grandmother, it's time I really started to prepare Owen to take over the restaurant business in earnest, I thought to myself. I want to be able to cook for my grandchild's future celebrations, and who better to continue serving delicious meals than Owen? Owen had diligently applied himself during his training and was ready to take on more responsibility. As we watched Jaden and Lillian with their new baby, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of hope for Owen's future as well. Maybe this year, as Owen becomes a fully fledged chef and takes over the restaurant, he might also find someone special, I mused to myself. It was a silent wish, one that I carried in my heart, hoping that Owen would find the same happiness and companionship that had enriched my own life. With all these new beginnings and celebrations ahead, the future seemed bright and full of promise.